Hello, welcome to Bored and Confused. Today I will be talking about the Tony Award nominations that just came out earlier today. I have a lot of thoughts to share with you. I will also be giving my prediction for the Tony winner. Now I know it's a little premature to be doing this because things in the zeitgeist will change, and also I saw the shows going in not knowing who the nominations might be. And it's a very different experience for Tony voters to go in and see a show knowing that something's nominated for an award, because then they can then focus on it, which is not something that I did when I saw these shows. I believe in the phenomenon of the wisdom of the crowd. In 1906, statistician Francis Galton noticed that the average of the guesses of a crowd about the weight of an ox was more accurate than any one person's guess, even those who were cattle experts. And I think the same thing holds true with the Tonys, that if you were to take everyone's guesses about who would win the Tonys and average them out, those will most likely be more correct, even than someone who has seen all the shows, like myself. So these are just my opinion and how I'm feeling in this moment and who I think will take home a Tony in 38 days. Also, a lot of things go into not only choosing nominees, but also to who wins the Tonys. It's not just a matter of who everyone thinks is the best. You take into account when you choose these nominations, who's been nominated in the past, who has a history of doing well on Broadway, who has won in the past. Also, there's an effort to represent the diversity of Broadway in the nominations as well, so that that is represented in the Tony broadcast. And that being said, any one of those factors doesn't really beat out someone else, but when it's close, it can kind of tilt it one way or the other. At least that's what I think. I have updated my spreadsheet to include the winners. For the most part, I did pretty good with my predictions of who would get Tony nominations, with the exception of Buena Vista Social Club got a lot more love from the Tony nomination committee than I thought it would. But other than that, I was pretty close. So let's start out with the play categories, shall we? The nominees for Best Play are English, The Hills of California, John Proctor is the villain, Oh Mary, and Purpose. These are the nominees I expected. I also thought that Cult of Love could have been in the mix, but these make perfect sense to me. And I think it's going to be between Oh Mary and John Proctor. English and Hills of California have already closed, so that puts them at a disadvantage. And Brandon Jacob Jenkins has won a Tony, so I think it's mainly between Oh Mary and John Proctor. I often say that dying is easy, comedy is hard. But with the case of John Proctor, and the case of Purpose as well, those are dramas that have a lot of comedy in them. So I am leaning towards John Proctor is the villain winning Best Play. I think it has the momentum, and I also think that Cola Scola, spoiler, is going to win Best Actor. And so since they wrote the play, I think that they're going to get an award for that, and that'll make up for the fact that they're not winning Best Play. Okay, Best Revival of a Play. I was having trouble picking these because I didn't think there were 5 worthy. And the Tony nomination agreed with me, and they picked 4. Eureka Day, Our Town, Romeo and Juliet, and Yellowface. I only picked Eureka Day and Yellowface as being my 2 front runners, and I believe that Eureka Day is going to take that award. Why? Because it was scheduled to play at the Kennedy Center, and the Trump administration said, nope, we don't like that play. It's not about Jesus. You are not going to produce that with a portion of taxpayer money, which is ironic because the play makes fun of liberals. It really does. But it's about vaccines and pandemics, which, timely. All right, next we're going to go into Best Leading Actor in a Play. We've got George Clooney, who I thought might get a nomination because having that star power at the Tony Awards is going to be good for the Tony Awards. And also he did a great job in this play, but the play's not going to be nominated for much anything else. And then we've got Cola Scola, and we've got John Michael Hill for Purpose, which I was surprised by. And we also have Harry Lennox for Purpose, which surprised me because I thought he would get a nomination for Best Featured Actor, because we've got 2 lead actors for this play, and it's really an ensemble piece. And if anyone is the lead, it's John Michael Hill. A lot of my incorrect predictions were because I didn't first check to see how the Tony Awards had decided which actors would be in which categories. Now I know for the future to check that first before my predictions. So a lot of those got messed up. And then we've got Lewis McCartney for Stranger Things, who I also thought would get a nomination. And I'm pleasantly surprised, although I did have him in my list, Daniel Day Kim did get a nomination for Yellowface, which I think is wonderful because I really liked him in that play as well. But I think the clear winner is going to be Cola Scola. Like I said, they wrote the play and they're starring in it and taken Broadway by storm, and yeah, they're going to be the winner. Also, I think having two lead actors from Purpose, they're just canceling each other out. For leading actress in a play, we have Laura Donnelly for The Hills of California, Mia Farrow for The Roommate, LaTanya Richardson Jackson for Purpose, Sadie Sink for John Proctor as the villain, and Sarah Snook for The Picture of Dorian Gray. Now, I assumed these were going to be all of the nominees with the exception of LaTanya Richardson Jackson, who I considered to be a featured actor, and I had her in the featured actor category. Again, Purpose is really an ensemble play, and it's a choice to choose that character as a lead role, but then the role that Kara Young plays as a featured role when their stage time is probably the same. In fact, I think Kara Young comes on first. Anyhow, getting in the weeds here. So yeah, that's who I expected. I'm very happy that Mia Farrow will get that recognition because this may be her last chance to get a Tony nomination. So I'm glad that she has that. So who's going to win Best Leading Actress in a Play? Sarah Snook. Sarah Snook is going to win. Yeah. Because it's a one-person play and she's doing it all and she's playing tons of characters. Yeah, it's built. She's probably already won the Olivier. It's just built to win awards, that kind of performance. Irreplaceable. Although we'll see if they try. All right. Moving on to Best Featured Actor in a Play. We have Gabriel Ebert for John Proctor, Conrad Ricamora for Oh Mary. We have Glenn Davis for Purpose, which I did not see coming, but he's worthy of that. And we have Bob Odenkirk for Glengarry Glen Ross. I'm disappointed because I thought Michael McKean, look, Michael McKean's role is really a featured role. It's very small, but he was so good. Bob Odenkirk, you can make the case that's a lead role. It's as much a lead role as some of these roles that were nominated for Purpose. I'm just saying. And last but not least is Francis Ju for Yellowface. And I'm so glad they did not forget about Francis Ju because he was a standout when I saw it. I saw that play and I said he needs to be nominated for a Tony. And I'm going to stick with that because of all these people I've just listed, Francis Ju is the only one that when I saw his performance, I went Tony Award. He was so good. And it is truly a small featured part and he did so much with it. And to me, give that man a Tony. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. Next, we have Best Featured Actress in a Play. I was very happy and surprised to see not only Marjane Nishat being nominated from English, but also her fellow actor Tala Ashe, or Ash, I'm saying it wrong. I'm assuming that was the angry one. I think it was. But that whole cast was great, and any one of those women could have been nominated in this category. Now, the problem of having two actors in the featured role, and let's be honest, Marjane Nishat really could have been lead role. Again, the problem is we have two actors in the same play, they sometimes cancel each other out. So then we have Fina Straza from John Proctor's The Villain, who I really wanted to get a nomination, so happy for her. And Kara Young from Purpose, who was also really great. And then Jessica Hecht for Eureka Day. This is a difficult one. I'm going to count Kara Young out because she just won the Best Featured Actress Tony for Pearly. And I'm going to say it's going to be between the young and the old, between Jessica Hecht and Fina Straza. And this is a hard one to choose because Jessica Hecht has been nominated, but she's never won. But Fina Straza would probably give a really good acceptance speech, and it's great to support a young actor coming out of the gate and giving them a Tony Award. But I'm going to lean towards, I am the president of her fan club, Jessica Hecht, I believe, for the win. I think it's time for her to win. And she's been passed up in previous seasons when she should have won, in my opinion. So let's give that to her. Well deserved. All right, best direction of a play. We've got English, Knud Adams. Sam Mendes for The Hills of California. Danya Tamor, I said it right, for John Proctor as the villain. Sam Pinkleton for Oh Mary. And Kip Williams for The Picture of Dorian Gray. And for the most part, those were the people I saw getting nominated for this. Now, this is a really hard one, but I think it's going to come down between Oh Mary and John Proctor, because English and Hills of California are closed, and Dorian Gray is going to win for Best Actor, so they'll be like, we gave them enough love, let's look at these other plays. So my vote is going to go for John Proctor as the villain for Best Director, because it is very much an ensemble piece that I think really requires a strong directorial hand. That being said, Danya Tamor just won the Tony for The Outsiders. Oh, so this is tough. It could go to Sam Pinkleton for Oh Mary, who I think this is his first directorial Tony. I think he's done choreography and got a Tony nomination. But I'm going to say John Proctor. God, that's a hard one. What do you think? Comment below. Next, we have Best Scenic Design of a Play. The nominees are Marcia Ginsburg for English, Scott Pask for Good Night, Good Luck, Rob Howell for The Hills of California, and Marge Horwell and David Bergman for The Picture of Dorian Gray. Now this one, I'm pretty sure this is the one where they combined the projections with the set design for Picture of Dorian Gray. And I think it's going to win because of that. Double the power. And instead of winning Best Director, they're going to give it for the projection design and the lighting, or the set design. Yeah. All right, moving on. We have Best Costume Design of Play. We got Brenda Abendandalo for Good Night, Good Luck, Rob Howell for The Hills of California, Holly Pearson for Oh Mary, Marge Horwell for The Picture of Dorian Gray, and Bridget Reifenstuhl for Stranger Things. This was one of the categories where I guessed all of the nominations correctly. This is a tough one, but I'm going to say that Stranger Things is going to win just for the sheer number of costumes that had to be involved in that play, and also because it was a period piece and she did a great job with it. Maybe runner-up is Good Night, Good Luck, but all those costumes were kind of the same types of people, whereas Stranger Things was kids, people in hazmat suits, adults, 1950s, science, Area 54. Okay, Best Lighting Design of a Play. We've got Heather Gilbert and David Bengali for Good Night and Good Luck. We've got Natasha Chivers for The Hills of California. We've got Natasha Katz for John Proctor as the villain, which I didn't see getting a nomination, but I'm very happy for her. She's a great lighting designer. She's been around. And we've got John Clark for Stranger Things, The First Shadow. I think John Clark is going to win this because Stranger Things is not going to get any love except in the area of technical, because it does technical really well. All right, finally we have Best Sound Design of a Play. So I was surprised that Daniel Kluger got a nomination for Good Night and Good Luck. I have to say, I guess that makes sense because the use of the period television systems, and there was a singer, and so the sound design was tricky, and it was actually very easy to understand what they were saying. It wasn't as easy to understand what the play was doing for me, but watch my review for that. Then we've got Nick Powell for The Hills of California. I was also surprised by Palmer Hefferan getting nominated for John Proctor, which I love, so great for that. Love that it's getting so much love because I think that play is fantastic. And that also makes me think it's going to win Best Play because it's getting so many nominations in so many categories. And then Picture of Dorian Gray for sound design, which I think is correct as well. And Paul Arditi for Stranger Things. And the winner will be, same as lighting design, I think Stranger Things can take this, which means that Stranger Things would win sound, lighting, and costumes. Ooh, that's a lot. But it is a technical, heavy show, and those are the only things I think it could win. Okay, I may be giving too much love to Stranger Things. Maybe John Proctor might get one of those. We shall see. All right, that was the plays. Now we're going to move to the musicals. Best Musical. Nominees are Buena Vista Social Club. That was a surprise to me. Did not expect that. The rest of these I predicted. Dead Outlaw, Death Becomes Her, and maybe Happy Ending and Operation Mincemeat. Now, this is going to be an ongoing theme of where Buena Vista Social Club is going to get nominated for something, and I think that Just in Time should have been nominated. They're both jukebox musicals. I felt that Buena Vista Social Club succeeds best with the orchestrations and the dancing and maybe costumes, whereas I thought Just in Time succeeded best with the book and the acting. To me, that's more important. But the Tony Nomination Committee really loved Buena Vista Social Club, and I love that show too, but I love Just in Time more. All right, so who's going to win Best Musical? Maybe Happy Ending. And the reason I say that is because it is an entirely new musical, and I think that it is working on so many different levels. The direction, the lighting design, sound, all of those aspects. It's been nominated for a lot of things. I just think it also has the heart. So I really think it's going to be a great night for maybe Happy Ending. And I guess the biggest competition probably is Death Becomes Her, which is more of a traditional splashy, big musical comedy, which they often like to give awards to because they know it's going to tour and sell lots of tickets. But I think this will be a year when they go with, where they vote your heart. Thank you, Avenue Q. All right, Best Revival of a Musical. The nominees are Floyd Collins, Gypsy, Pirates, the Penzance Musical, and Sunset Boulevard. Now, in my predictions, I predicted that Once Upon a Mattress would get nominated, and then the difficult one would be between Floyd Collins and Pirates. But what they've done is they've decided to forget about the show that is closed. Even though when Once Upon a Mattress came out, it got raves. Everyone was saying it was a great revival of a musical that is not considered to be the greatest musical. And it was just such a great revival, especially with the actors. But as we're going to see a trend, if it is closed, it is dead to people. So they've only nominated shows that are currently running. Sorry, Once Upon a Mattress. So the winner of this is going to be, the winner is going to be Sunset Boulevard for Best Revival. Just because they're the ones who did something very different than the original, and I think that will be rewarded. All right, let's go to Best Leading Actor in a Musical. And we've got 6 nominees for this. Look at that. We've got James Monroe Eagleheart for A Wonderful World, their sole nomination, which I think is well deserved. We've got Andrew Durand for Dead Outlaw, which I love Andrew Durand, but to me, I don't know, a show where you're dead for half of it. Although people said he played dead really well. And he did. And then we've got Jonathan Groff for Just in Time, and Darren Criss for Maybe Happy Ending, and Jeremy Jordan for Floyd Collins. Number 6, Tom Francis for Sunset Boulevard. I really wanted Gray Hansen for Elf to be nominated because he was so good. I saw it and I just went, wow, what a great performance. But it's closed, and it also was a revival, and it's based on a movie, so people look at that and they go, oh, he's not really originating the role, although I thought he made it his own. So I would have liked Gray Hansen to get a nomination. So who do we think is going to win? My money's on Jonathan Groff, but he just won. But the show is being so well received and people are loving it, and I think it's going to stay open longer than a lot of these other shows. So I say Jonathan Groff, and runner-up Tom Francis or Jeremy Jordan, because they're singing their faces off, and also Tom Francis won the Olivier. But give me some Groff sauce. Jonathan Groff for the win. All right, let's get through this. Best Leading Actress in a Musical. There are only 5 nominees for this, and there were 6 for the men's category. So, bored and confused? I'm confused about this. There were so many good women that they could have nominated. I don't understand why there wasn't a 6th nomination. I don't get it. So we got Jasmine Amy Rogers for Boop. We've got Megan Hilty and Jennifer Simard for Death Becomes Her. We've got Audra McDonald for Gypsy, and Nicole Scherzinger for Sunset Boulevard. And the ones that could have been in there and should have been in there, Sutton Foster, come on. Sutton Foster for Once Upon a Mattress. And I also thought Natasha Hodgson for Operation Mincemeat deserved to be in there. And so who's going to win this? I think it's going to be Nicole Scherzinger's. Well, it really comes down to it. I think hopefully people have forgotten about her her Trump-loving statements. And I think Audra's already won enough times, and Audra just vocally isn't really right for the role of Gypsy, and I don't know if she's really made a case for a coloratura soprano playing Rose. And I think Nicole Scherzinger has made a case both in her performance, and her singing is fantastic. So I think that's going to be hers. All right, let's go to Best Featured Actor in a Musical. So disappointing that Stephen DeRose, who I love from Boop, loved him, is not nominated. I know it's cartoony, but he did cartoony so well, and it's not easy, as I've heard from someone who saw the understudy. Oh, I didn't say that. Okay, there was a lot of surprises in this category, and I was having a hard time picking these when I was doing my guesses. So we got Jeb Brown for Dead Outlaw. That was a surprise. Jack Malone, Operation Mincemeat. Saw that one coming. Brooks Ashmanskas was a surprise for me for Smash, not because he's not great in it, but because it was a very similar role, I thought, to his role in The Prom. But he's great. Taylor Trench was a surprise to me as well, although someone did point it out in a comment, and I went, yeah, that makes sense, actually. He was really great. Danny Burstein, because, you know, Danny Burstein is Danny Burstein. And so that's all the nominees. And David Hyde Pierce should have been in there. Come on. David Hyde Pierce for Pirates of Penzance? For Modern Major General? It really doesn't matter, though, because Jack Malone's going to take this. He's going to be the winner. So anyone else you nominated, you're just giving them a little pat on the back. But I don't know. I bet both Stephen DeRosa and David Hyde Pierce could have been in there. Okay, let it go, Matt. Let it go. Become one with the wind and sky. Best Featured Actress in a Musical. I was surprised because I didn't read that the Tonys were going to put Natalie Venetia Belcon in a featured role, which she is not. She is the lead role. She is the lead role in Buena Vista Social Club. I mean, sure, she shares it with her younger self, but come on. She's the lead. She's the lead. Anyhow, so she's got a nomination, which is great because she's been around. And we got Julia Niddle for Dead Outlaw, which I was wondering if they would give it to her. Good for her. Just in Time, I was surprised. I thought any of the women could have gotten a nomination, but they gave it to Gracie Lawrence, whose vocals in the show as Connie Francis are killer. She's better than Connie Francis. And Justina Machado for Real Women Have Curves. So glad she got a nomination because I really loved her. She's really fantastic in that show. She's one of the reasons to go see it. And Joy Woods, not surprised because I've said this before and people get mad at me, but sometimes, oh, this is going to make people angry. But there's certain roles. Like if you play Madame Rose in Gypsy, you're going to get nominated. It's just one of those roles. And I also feel like often from Gypsy, featured actor role often goes to Louise. So despite the fact that she doesn't sing nearly as much as some of the other characters, well, as much as her mother does. So Joy Woods got a nomination. Good for her. I personally didn't see it, especially the scene that she has with Tulsa with All I Need Is the Girl. I just didn't believe that scene. But watch my review of Gypsy if you want me to get into that. I thought Jordan Tyson, who played the adult June, I really liked her performance. I thought her take on that role, to me, was more of a departure than I thought Joy Woods was. And also I'm comparing her to Tony Award winner Laura Benanti. And to me, I was comparing and I just couldn't, she didn't measure up for me. But she got a nomination. What do you guys think? Am I just totally off base? Am I missing the joy of Joy? All right, but anyhow, when it comes down to it, I think the winner of this is going to be Natalie Venetia Belcon. I think she's been around on the boards on Broadway and off Broadway for quite some time, and I think it's time for her to win an award. And my runner-up would be Justina Machado, so that we give some love to Real Women Have Curves, because they're not going to get enough love, and I want that show to stay open. I want it to do well. All right, Best Book of a Musical. This surprised me. Buena Vista Social Club, Marco Ramirez got a nomination for Best Book of a Musical for Buena Vista Social Club. I thought the ideas of the book were good, but the actual execution of the book, I just don't see it. I did not think the book was strong for that show. Okay, but the other ones are good. Itmar Moses, Dead Outlaw. Marco Pineda for Death Becomes Her. Will Aronson and Hugh Park for Maybe Happy Ending, and David Cumming, Felix Hagen, Natasha Hodgson, and Zoe Roberts for Operation Mincemeat. This one is difficult because I feel like Operation Mincemeat needs to get some love. And if they're not going to give it to them in the acting categories, they should give these 4 actors created the show, they should give it to them for writing an amazing book. So for me, it's between Maybe Happy Ending and Operation Mincemeat. Here's my prediction. I think it'll go to Operation Mincemeat to thank those actors for their excellent work, to award them for their excellent work, and then they'll give Best Score to Maybe Happy Ending so that they spread the love. That's kind of what I'm hoping will happen. I think Maybe Happy Ending is deserving of Best Book, but that's the way I see it going down. So Best Original Score, I think it will go to Maybe Happy Ending. Maybe Happy Ending. The other nominees are Dead Outlaw, which makes sense, Death Becomes Her, Operation Mincemeat, and Real Women Have Curves. So glad that Real Women Have Curves got that nomination. Very happy. These nominations, I got all these correct. Go me. I got Best Score and Best Orchestration predictions all correct. Good job, Matt. All right, let's move to Best Direction of a Musical. I was surprised that Sahim Ali got a nomination. I think it's deserved. I didn't think book was, but I could see for direction. I don't know. It's hard when a show just isn't totally working for me. It's hard for me to give a nomination to a director. Then we've also got Christopher Gattelli for Death Becomes Her, and Michael Arden for Maybe Happy Ending, and Jamie Lloyd for Sunset Boulevard. Now, for me, it's going to be between Sunset Boulevard and Maybe Happy Ending, between Michael Arden and Jamie Lloyd. And this is difficult because Michael Arden recently won, I believe, for Parade. And I think Christopher Gattelli is new to the role of director, so they may hold off on giving him the award this time around. This is difficult because I think Maybe Happy Ending is going to win Best Musical and Sunset Boulevard is going to win Best Revival. So, direction, both of these guys did such good work. One took an original musical and found a really great way to make it better than the sum of its parts. And the other found a show that wasn't really working that well and found a way to really turn it on its head. Okay, I'm going to go with my heart right now, and I'm going to give it to Michael Arden. I think he's going to win because I think we've given enough love to Sunset Boulevard. No, but we've already given a lot of love. I don't know. Yeah, we gave acting love to Sunset Boulevard, so we're going to give it to director, to Michael Arden, since the actors aren't going to win for that. Okay, Best Choreography. Okay, guys, confused. Chime in about this. The nomination of Joshua Bergassi, I should know how to say that, doesn't make sense to me because Smash was not allowed to be nominated for Best Score because the score was written for the television show. But the dances are the same as the dances in the television show. So if the dances were created for a television show, why are they eligible for a nomination? I don't understand that. So congrats on the nomination. The dancing is great. I just don't understand why it's eligible. The other, we've got Camille A. Brown for Gypsy, which she did a good job, but it's not Jerome Robbins. Death Becomes Her for Christopher Gattelli, who also directed. And we've got Patricia Delgado and Justin Peck for Buena Vista Social Club and Jerry Mitchell for Boop. I think the winner is going to be Buena Vista Social Club. I thought they had the best dancing. My runner-up is going to be Chris Gattelli because he's a great choreographer, and not only did he choreograph, he directed as well. Although Jerry Mitchell did that as well. But Jerry Mitchell has enough Tonys, and I don't think Boop is one of his best. So, yeah, so the winner goes to Buena Vista Social Club for me. Even though Justin Peck also has a Tony already for our Illinois. All right, Best Orchestrations. We've got Marco Puglia for Buena Vista Social Club. We've got Andrew Resnick and Michael Thurber for Just in Time. We've got Will Aronson for Maybe Happy Ending, which I was surprised by that one. And Bruce Coughlin for Floyd Collins. I almost said Phil Collins. I was surprised that David Cullen and Andrew Lloyd Webber got a nomination for Sunset Boulevard. I guess they redid the orchestrations, which makes sense. I don't think they're going to win, though. I think it's going to go to Marco Puglia for Buena Vista Social Club because damn, that show sounds great. So I think Best Orchestrations have to go to that Buena Vista Social Club, and they deserve it. Best Scenic Design of a Musical. I was surprised that Buena Vista Social Club got a nomination for Arnulfo Maldonado. I think it's worthy. The set design's great, but it's just like one set. And then when you compare that with other shows that have multiple sets, it's hard to really compare that. Speaking of, you got Death Becomes Her, Derek McLean, which is a lot of sets. We've got also Derek McLean was nominated for Just in Time. This guy's a busy guy. And we've got Dane Laffrey for Maybe Happy Ending. And we've got Rachel Hauch for Swept Away. Those are all deserving. All of those I thought would get nominated except Buena Vista Social Club, even though it's deserving. For me, the winner is going to be Maybe Happy Ending. That set design's really fantastic. And if it doesn't win for Best Director, even more reason that it should win for Best Set Design. All right, let's go to Best Costume Design of a Musical. Now I'm changing my mind. Maybe Jamie Lloyd will win Sunset Boulevard, and then they'll give it to Best Scenic Design. Hard to know. Okay, Best Costume Design. We're almost there, guys. Hang with me. 3 more categories. We've got Greg Barnes for Boop. We've got Didi Ayite for Buena Vista. We've got Paul Tazwell for Death Becomes Her. And we've got Catherine Zuber, which I was surprised by, but it's Catherine Zuber, so how can we be surprised, for Just in Time, and the costumes are great in that. I was really surprised by Clint Ramos getting a nomination for Best Costumes for Maybe Happy Ending. There's 4 characters in that. One's wearing a tux, one's wearing just some schleppy clothes. It's like they're getting a nomination just for Darren Criss's costume, which is great. But it's like that one costume is getting a nomination. I know I'm minimalizing it, but that one confuses me. Comment below on that. All right, so I think the winner for this is going to be Paul Tazwell for Death Becomes Her. That is a costume show. Yeah, costumes for that. Best Lighting Design of a Musical. Happily surprised to see that Tyler Michelot for Buena Vista Social Club. I mean, Buena Vista is just getting love thrown all over it by the Tony Nomination Committee. And Justin Townsend for Death Becomes Her. Ben Stanton for Maybe Happy Ending. Scott Zielinski and Rui Hong Sung for Floyd Collins. And Jack Knowles for Lighting Design for Sunset Boulevard. Okay, guys, this is a huge confusion I'm having. I read that the Tony Committee decided that projections for Sunset Boulevard would be considered as scenic design. And that's kind of the main thing of the show. But they didn't nominate it for scenic design, they nominated it for lighting design. But the projection designer is not included among lighting design. So I'm super confused, because I would say if it was projection design, I would give it to Sunset Boulevard. But if it's not for projections, which it doesn't appear to be, which makes no sense to me, I think the winner is going to go to Maybe Happy Ending for Best Lighting. That makes no sense to me, that Sunset Boulevard didn't get nominated for Best Scenic Design after they decided it was going to include projections. Picture of Dorian Gray got nominated. Comment below. All right, guys, we're down to Best Sound Design. This one's easy. We've got Buena Vista Social Club, Jonathan Deans. We've got Peter Heilenacki for Just in Time, and Peter Heilenacki also for Maybe Happy Ending. We've got Dan Moses Schreier for Floyd Collins, and which I expected for sound design. And then the one person I overlooked was Adam Fisher for Sunset Boulevard. And of course, Adam Fisher is going to win, because I had forgotten about that part in the second act where Joe Gillis walks outside and sings Sunset Boulevard as he's walking down the street. And the way to get that to sync up with the orchestra and the sound, and sound as good as it does, took some really good technical skills and innovation to make that sound design work for that musical. All right, that is it, y'all. Gosh, this was a long video. If you made it through, brownie points for you. You win a Tony. We've just got about 38 days till the Tony Awards. I'm really excited to see who wins what. Once all of the predictions come out, I think I'm going to take them and average them, and then maybe enter a Tony pool and see if I can win something. All right. Thanks for watching.
Don't bore me, don't confuse me. If you do, then you'll lose me. Don't wanna drift away, wanna stay inside.